Hi, David. Hi, Akash.
Hello.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, David. Welcome to the meeting.
Thanks. I joined once last week, so this is number 2, I guess.
Yeah, last time you didn't get to introduce yourself. Are you a upstream team PM?
Yeah, I am an upstream team PM. I've been spending most of my time as of lately with Notary and ORAS, but yeah, obviously Ratify is an important part of the puzzle as well for secure supply chain.
Yeah, great. We're looking forward to your input on the direction that we need to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, Eric is on leave, so I believe he'll back end of July. So I will be on vacation in 3 weeks, so Akash would be driving the meeting when I'm on leave. Yeah, we'll wait a couple of minutes for others to join. Sajay should be back this week, and hopefully Jimmy would join us for going through his PR. Hey, Akash, since you've already reviewed Jimmy's PR, just a couple of questions like on the side. So I'm a little confused, like the token is for the identity on the cluster or on the node or the pod, right? Why do they call it basic auth? Like, why does it have a password? Is it like a username password sort of? Basic auth is what I think of.
Yeah, so I think it's because they usually use access tokens instead of using like basic auth. So actually we can ask Jimmy too, but yeah, because it's using username and password, that's why it's basic, I guess.
Yeah, and the password is the token, is that right?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. I guess it's just like terminology differences then.
Yep.
Is this a question about what I was writing or?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. I did call it basic because it's basic auth. So it's a username and password that comes as part of the token, and you split the token out into the username and the password.
Yeah, in the ACR workflow, like we have the username, but like when there's a token for the identity, the username is like 00000, and then the password is a token. Is it the same here?
Well, yeah, yes and no. I saw that, and then, but yes, when you're using the CLI for AWS, you can tell it to use AWS as your username, and then, however, that username also comes in the auth token. So instead of like hard coding the username as a constant, I just said, well, it's going to be in the auth token. I'll just use it, but it is always AWS uppercase, just like yours is always that 0 client ID. So.
Got it. Okay, let me share screen. Just admitting a few folks in. I'm seeing Lucky joining and Sajay joining. Hi, Lucky. Hi, Sajay.
Hello,
welcome back.
hello.
We're just getting started here, so I'm trying to share my screen to run through our agenda today. Can everyone see my screen? I don't know if I'm sharing.
I see it.
Is
I
it
see the Ratify weekly meeting notes.
Okay, great. Okay, going through our actionable agenda today. Typically, we have our PRs to go through. So the first one, I had a PR to update our cosine library. Eric wasn't able to review it before he went on leave, but Akash, I saw you signed off on it. This PR would address the security vulnerability in the GitHub project. Are you happy for me to merge this given the test result?
Yeah, I think to me it looks good. I think you had some cosine question for Eric, but as far as I can tell, it looks fine.
Yeah, I did a brief sync with him
Okay.
late afternoon. He's happy for me to merge it. And if there's any broken scenarios for cosine, we can address it later.
Okay, sounds good. Actually, on the cosine topic, Surtac actually reached out and he's trying to get cosine to work with Ratify, and he was wondering if we can create a better document explaining how cosine works with Ratify. So maybe we should file that as an issue.
Okay, do you know what like we have a doc that says like walkthrough for AWS, right? Which goes through the cosine validation.
Yeah, I think he's looking for something simpler. So just some commands that he can use. We can follow up with him and see exactly what he's looking for. But he posted that he wants to see a better guide because this one's a little bit confusing to use.
Okay, yeah. If he is using a AKS cluster, I believe the commands for cosine is the same. Like the
Okay.
configuration should be the same, and the generate and the verify should be identical.
Okay.
It's not actually a walkthrough for like part of it is a walkthrough for AWS, but the cosine bit is shared. Maybe we just need to make that clearer. Like,
yeah, I think that's probably what he's a little bit confused about. Okay.
Okay, but I can reach out to Surtac to see if he had specific questions.
Okay.
Yeah, cool. Next PR is Jimmy's AWS basic auth provider. Thank you for putting this out, Jimmy. Especially the documentation, it's super clear, like what are the steps and what to verify.
Mhm.
I'm super impressed with the walkthrough.
Well, I mean, don't be too impressed because both the structure of the code and the structure of the documentation is based on what was already built for the Azure Auth provider. I just changed it to make it work with ECR and AWS. So, I mean, I added a few types that I had to have, but other than that, I just followed you guys' lead.
I see, Akash, you've been through the PR. I think most things look good, just a couple of like typos.
Yeah, I fixed the typo right there. And then also I wanted to point out a few things. One, I don't know if I should have done this, but I did it. And that was, when I was building it, it automatically updated the go mod and go sum. So I don't, that's one thing there. And then also I changed the Docker file that builds Ratify to accept a Go proxy statement because I'm not able to use Go proxy. So I have to go direct. So anytime I build, I have to not use Go proxy. So I added that just in case. If you don't use it, then it defaults to whatever the default Go proxy is. Otherwise, you can tell it like direct and it doesn't use a Go proxy, or you can give it a different explicit Go proxy if you wanted to. But I wanted to point that out because I didn't know if that was going to give anybody any issues.
Yeah, I can try it out. But in our, we have like a basic validation test, and that was able to build and run fine.
Okay.
So it should be good.
Yeah, I tested it both ways just to make sure that when I test it, obviously, if I used a proxy, then it fails farther down the line. But at least that part worked. So I figured it was going to pass when someone else tried it.
Yeah, I had just a question for Akash. When we were implementing the like the Docker config or the workload identity auth provider, like if the token didn't have enough scope in the beginning, like there was some caching issue, and I remember we did something like, if the response to the registry was like 400, then we will take it out of the cache.
Yep.
Would that be applicable to the AWS workflow too?
Yeah, it would be the same. So if we get a 401 error from AWS, then it's going to try to go and kick the old credentials from the cache and then try to call provide again to get the new credentials. So it'll call Jimmy's provide method and it'll grab fresh new credentials. So
Yeah, if you look at the provide method, yeah. So in there, I believe it's in there where I set up a time. Yeah, right there. So I actually set up a time of 5 minutes. So I check for two things. I check for, is this thing going to expire in 5 minutes or has it already expired? And then I have it go look up the auth token again. So now I'm not sure what cache you were talking about. Is that outside of the auth provider itself, or where is that? I don't remember that piece.
Yeah, Akash can talk about it. I don't know. Akash, we cannot hear you.
Yeah, you're muted.
Is he muted?
Well, no, I mean, I just somewhere.
Yeah, as in like we cannot hear you. Maybe there's like a connection issue, like if you restart the mic.
how about now?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so the auth cache is actually implemented at the Aura store level, so that's why it's not at the provider level. And basically, it's going to only call the provide method if there isn't already credentials stored in the cache, and that's just preventing us from making all of those outbound calls to the registries and doing the whole token exchange every single time. So, yeah.
Okay. And the way that, just so you know, the way that this works with ECR is that it's going to look at the credentials that you get back. It's going to look at what rights you have at an individual ECR registry level. So, if you're, let's say you have ECR rights in another account, even as long as the IAM roles are in place such that the principal you get back has access to that cross account registry, then you'll be able to use it. Otherwise, you're going to get 401, I believe. But that's not something that I would instrument inside the code. That would be a out of band IAM thing.
Sure. We'll review these again, and are we ready to sign off probably this week, Akash?
Yep. So I've done like a first pass at it, and I think it looks pretty much good to go. I also tried to build it with the new Docker file, and it looks like that's building too. So I think we can leave the Go proxy in. I'm fine with those changes as well. But yeah, Susan, if you want to take a look at it, and then maybe anything that might have been missed. So.
Yeah. And Jimmy, do you want us to merge it as soon as it's approved?
That's right now we cannot test ECR because ECR is based off of the latest artifact spec, and the Auris libraries are not yet. So I'm kind of dead in the water anyways. So, but I need it merged at least by the time, I don't know when they're going to have that. I think it's another week or so before they'll be ready to have the Auris clients libraries updated such that I can use ECR. Then I'll need to be able to test it with this functionality.
I wonder, Sajay, do you know if the timeline for that?
I just pasted the link to the latest Auris release. It happened, I think, today morning at 4 o'clock or something.
Okay.
If we can update I think we need to create an issue on Ratify to consume the pre-alpha release for Auris Go. Who was planning to do it? Any idea? Or
Who was planning to do what?
I think Akash might be the one who's probably going to rev the Auris library up.
Yeah, that'll be on my plate. So I'll update it. I need to update the RC1 spec as well for artifact spec, and then I'll try to combine both of those and send a PR. So
Awesome.
Well, that's cool. Then I'll be able to maybe either start testing later this week or early next week. That'll be nice. Or whenever. I mean, I'm not pushing you. Whenever you get it ready, that's fine. I was thinking a couple weeks anyway, so we're still good.
Cool. Thanks, Akash. Do you need me to log an issue, Akash?
Sure. Yeah, that'd be helpful. You can just track it that way.
Yep, sounds good. Yeah, we have a few more pending PR. Let me just to bring the list up. Eric have the pass-through execution mode. I spoke to him. He can merge it later this week. He will address some comment if we get to it. And I'm still working out the end-to-end integration test for the configuration file watcher. Yeah, I guess that's everything. Back to the agenda. Sajay, I have started a Doodle meeting poll to see what will suit the Europe time zone for Alexandro. So he signed up to a few time slots. Sajay, can you have a look at the opening time slot and see if you need to add additional ones?
Sure.
And I think Lee said he will take a look, but I haven't seen his response yet. So we'll keep it open for a while. And David, if you're interested in coming to the Ratify meeting regularly, please take a look at the meeting poll. We might do like a every other week meeting to make sure it works for all the time zones. Yeah, that's everything on our agenda. Lucky, Sajay, do you have anything to share today?
I actually added some things to the agenda. But you actually already had answered one of those from the first one that I had there, which was the ORAS to RC.1 spec. There's a dependent bot PR that's up there, but sounds like Akash, you're going to go ahead and do that and the ORAS update. So that one's covered. The other two are issues that Sajay filed, and I just kind of wanted to see like where we're at with either of those or both of those. So if the nothing's changed, then so be it. But yeah.
Support remote signature verification using our Azure.
Yeah, it's a little confusing because when I follow this chain down, there's actually a PR that was merged that appears that it has some form of functionality that's been moved in. I haven't looked into the code or tried to, do anything with it yet. I just so if you scroll down, yeah, so there's that updates to deploy on check support certificate from Azure Key Vault, and then you follow that, and then it has stuff in there, and so it kind of makes me wonder, well, what is there certain things left or things not working because the issue is still open.
So with this, does this mean that the cert that Ratify would be using would be coming from Azure Key Vault? For verification of signatures?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I think this work is related to the CSI driver, like where we specify in the CSI driver the key vault name, the Azure client ID that we use to pull the key vault, and when the pods start, these certificates would be mounted on disk, and Ratify will be able to validate the signatures using those public keys. So I think this work is already done. So I can go ahead and close this. Sajay, is that correct?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is before we did the CSI.
That's what it looked like.
Pretty old,
but
right?
Yeah, that's what it looked like. But I was like, well, I'm not sure. I wasn't sure. So thank you.
Okay. Implemented in PR above. Closing.
So the implementation here is through projected volumes, or is this going to be like a persistent volume and persistent volume claim that are underpinned by Key Vault?
We actually use the CSI driver. So
Okay.
let me.
In that case, it's probably the persistent volume claim.
CSI driver. I forgot the name, like something like this. CSI driver. Using AWS Secret Manager.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, we have the same thing.
I think it's this one, but I'm not sure. I think, yeah, I think this is the one, secret store CSI driver.
Yep.
Close with comment. And the other one is, yeah, support dynamic configuration.
Just the one that would use CRDs.
Yeah, so we talked about this a little while, support dynamic configuration. So Teja was mentioning like these options, and we decided to implement the file watcher for the configuration file as a starting point. And later on, when we have a need, we will implement the CRDs. So I have a design doc out for the file watcher part, David. So
Okay.
back to our meeting notes, like, let me scroll down a few weeks right here.
Okay.
So this is the PR for the file watcher. And there's a link in the description for the design doc. So we're kind of breaking this apart in two parts. So, step one, we're starting with the file watcher based implementation that triggers a reload on a file change. And later on, we'll enable a more native experience. Yeah, so maybe going through this doc, you'll find some answers. And yeah, feel free to reach out if you have any questions.
Okay, yeah, that helps. Yeah, I think it'd be good. I can, or you can, I guess we can just update the context there on the issue. It'd be good.
Yeah. So let me paste this doc. I had it open somewhere here.
So once you have down the road the CRD, would you deprecate the file watcher then, I assume? Or?
Given it's a goal for Ratify to work with like different runtimes, so we might keep the file watcher. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
See design doc at.
Yeah, those are the only ones that I called out. So Sajay, Lucky, do you have things for Susan's ask earlier?
Jimmy, do you have anything else?
I just had a question with regards to the direction. You may have just answered it for me, and that was when we were talking about the pass-through mode, I started to wonder about the underlying policy engine, implementation inside Ratify, and if we were going to pass through to, let's say, Gatekeeper, or maybe OPA, or maybe later on Caverno, or some other Qboard and whatever. I wondered about what was going to happen with the existing policy and verification, but it starts to make more sense now if you're saying that you're targeting Ratify for additional runtimes other than Kubernetes, right? So the Gatekeeper may not exist there. I'm trying to figure out the direction, so to speak, of if we were to evolve into passing everything through back to Gatekeeper and then writing policies that were more intelligent to understand the actual payload itself and not just whether Ratify said it was verified or not, then what would Ratify do beyond that? And so, yeah, that's what I was trying to get at.
Yeah, I think Sajay can take this question.
I mean, it's interesting because David and I just had a conversation today about where do we prioritize versus roadmap versus vision. I think there is some interest, and we had kind of like considered if we were to run Ratify besides something like Containerd, where you still want to do signature validation before the process starts up. How do we define the policy? It's going to be much more tighter, but at least we can still do it. A simple Containerd shim that can call to Ratify makes sense. Versus if you have a full orchestrator, then that would sit next to deployment time versus admission time, right? So
yeah,
the pass-through is for richer policies, but the building blocks and the components can be leveraged in like other places as well. And we haven't prioritized anything at this point, but I think what we're leaning towards is getting the Kubernetes story complete first, and then we can invest into other places, given the resources and the number of people we might have. That's roughly what we've been thinking.
So given the, do we have a time frame for what beta looks like? I mean, because we're still alpha, right? I think the last tag was alpha that I saw.
Right.
Do we have a milestone chart somewhere, or do we have an idea?
There's one. Yeah, we talked about this earlier this year. So there is one milestone that's up there right now, but I'm gonna help out to try and get another scope of a milestone that we can launch next. So we're gonna reevaluate what's up there. That's part of the reason why I actually asked about those three issues that were up there. There's still a bit more work to refine that. But I mean, I would love to get on a regular cadence of a release of some kind, so that we can kind of help move things forward.
Okay, cool. I mean, well, obviously, if there's something I can help out with, I'll be happy to. I just still trying to get into some of it. I think that my next thing, once I'm able to successfully test the auth provider for ECR, then I think the next thing I probably want to look at is, looking at what you guys did with, Key Vault in the CSI driver. But thanks.
Yeah, I mean, if there's other things that you would like to see in Ratify, I think that's, having the issues up there and bringing them to the group is good for us to all consider.
Yeah. So one question I guess I had, and I was thinking about this, and I might be completely off base, but so when I look at, using notation or, to sign an image, it's not really, I think it seems to be there's a lack of, it's not atomic. So for instance, I could go in and say, set up ECR to, make my tags immutable, or I could choose not to do that. That's not something that I have to do, but it's a good practice to do that, I guess. I mean, that's what I've always espoused. So when I sign an image, I'm not actually creating, pushing, and signing. I'm just signing. So there's a lack of atomicity there. So then it's a matter of when notation is going after and signing an image, I need a way to make sure that I'm signing the right image. And if I don't have tag immutability turned on, then I have to go after, I have to make sure that what I'm, notation is using the right digest, so that I know I have the right image, the latest. And so and maybe this is just me, but I'm a little confused because of that lack of full cycle atomicity. Is there an opportunity for someone to sign the wrong image, I guess? And have we thought about that use case? Signing the wrong tag, so to speak. If you don't have tag immutability enabled, then you could be signing the wrong tag. Obviously, digest will be completely unique, but
yeah, there's an open issue on this topic on the spec actually. So I can go dig that up. Supposed to try and hash it all out right now with you.
Okay. Well, I don't feel too stupid then. Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? I see a nod.
Did you have anything, Sajay?
No, I think just to add to Jimmy's question, for notation, one of the ways that it is open because tag immutability is a problem. The notation specification is around using digest, actually speaking. So all the signatures and APIs are all digest based. The unfortunate thing is the tag resolution happens, and that's for a tooling improvement. But whoever can push a signature needs to probably take care that they are signing the right thing, and it is an open issue at this point. So I think we need to solve it before we kind of make this. But from a runtime perspective, the guarantees is that the signature does exist. So even if you're passing the wrong tag, you should be able to run only something that you have signed. So there's a separation of concern from a security profile perspective. So there is security on the Ratify side, but the notation side also needs to guarantee that you're signing the right thing in some way.
Thanks for sharing the link, David.
So do you think that that's going to be the way that it continues? So you're going to have two separate concerns where, you have to verify, you have to verify that you're signing the right image. And then that's completely out of band from getting the verification itself. Is that where you think it's going to continue, or?
Yes, because signatures can live, like if you've signed it and stamped it, you're the authority in some way. So besides, signing is an elevated process, right? Only a certain bill server or something or identity is able to do that. So signing has to be done in an elevated manner using a special set of identities, versus verification can still be done by a runtime because it might be running in different places with lower elevation. But I think the other thing is that the way we think about this is because there's separation of where the image is signed versus where it is run, it has to have separation of the public key is only accessible, right? So there's definitely things that protect you. Wrong tag signing is a build time construct or as a producer construct. So the other thing is we've been looking at local signing, which is, can I sign this thing and atomically
push it all at once?
Correct. So your tags come and then your image comes, or the other way around, whichever.
I mean, that would kind of help with the atomicity, right?
Correct. So offline signing is something that is, I think it's targeted for GA, but there's a lot of tooling that's missing to get that thing done. So we're still looking at that as well. So that would solve the whole atomicity, signing the wrong thing kind of a problem, because you're not trusting a remote store to give you the digest at that point.
Okay, cool.
Okay. If there's nothing else, we can wrap up today.
All right.
Cool. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Susan.
Thanks, everyone. See you next week.
All right. See you, everyone.
Yep.
Thanks, everyone.